So let's go ahead and create a pie chart with Power BI. So we're going to actually use an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to create a pie chart right within Power BI Desktop. So stay tuned. Okay, the first place we need to start, and I apologize, I don't have any screenshots for you tonight, but the place we're going to start right here is the Excel spreadsheet. So we're going to use information from the Excel spreadsheet. And here we're going to say 100 and 200. And I'm just showing you this screen. We're not going to actually use this one, but is that you have to convert this to a table. And we've talked about this in every video, pretty much, but we need to convert this to a table. To do that, we're going to open up our normal spreadsheet, and we're just going to highlight it over like this, and then we're going to say format as table. Then we're going to tell it which cells which we have, and that we have a header. That's it. And then we're just going to save it as an Excel spreadsheet. Okay? And that's all we need to do. I'm not going to save mine because I already have one right here that we're going to use in this demo. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to open up Power BI Desktop. If you haven't downloaded this yet, go to your store, your Microsoft Store for Windows, for example, and just type in Power BI. And when you get Power BI to come up, you can download and install the desktop, okay? So we're not going to wait around for that. We've gone ahead and opened up Power BI Desktop, and we're right there. This is where you end up when you open it. To use a spreadsheet, we're going to use a spreadsheet. So we're just going to click there, and we're going to put right there sample pie data. And hit open. And then it's going to connect to the data source itself, and we're just going to hit table. And we're going to hit load. Now this happens to be a very simple table. As you can see here, total apps, LLM potential, very simple. But we want to get in the habit of doing transform data. And basically this is going to tell us, hey, the data type happens to be a whole number. Then we click this one, it's a number because they're both whole numbers. And you can select and sort and do all types of things. But we just want to make sure that this is right. We don't want a number and this be a text field, for example. Okay, so all of our numbers are correct. It looks good. We're going to hit save close. This, don't worry about it. It's going to go away here in just a minute. So once it loads up the data. Now, mine looks, because there's only two pieces of data in there. So expect that yours will take longer to load. All right. So let's go ahead and click on what we want. Let's say we just want these two columns right there. And we can just simply click on it, and it's going to create a graph for us. Literally that simple. But let's look around and see if we can make this a little bit bigger. So let's stretch this out. So you saw how to do that. Let's move that out just to that on there. Let's push this in. Okay, there we go. So here I made my screen a little bit bigger, but here you can see the data itself. Okay, here's 1 and 2, and this says sum, and this total apps. Now, let's say we don't like this bar chart. No problem. Click on the pie chart. Boom. Now it's done. Don't like that one? Boom. So you can go through and do any of these that you want. Now, some of them, as you notice here, they're not going to look very good. Like that. Not so good, right? Because we don't have the right type of data. It's not that Power BI is not working correctly. It's that we're not using it to do things that make sense for the data that we have. Okay? So that's pretty easy, right? You can play with that. And remember, you can always go here and get more visuals as well. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and make some. So let's say here that we want, there's two primary things that you need to be aware of. One is right here. So here we can, do all types of things. We can do a count. We can show value as percentage and total. We can do all kinds of things right there on here. And we can even rename the field for the visuals. So let's do that real quick. If we just rename this, we can say LLM potential. Okay, and then it changes it right there. And we can do the same thing here. We can rename it here. We can just say total apps. Pretty easy, right? It's very simple to use. Then if we go here, we can still modify the screen a little bit more. Here we're playing with the X and Y, Y and X and Y. Okay. Here, we're playing with everything about it. So we have visual and we have general. And a lot of times, honestly, I just have to search for what I want. I'm going to walk through these. The legend, do you see it right there? That's the legend. Notice we have it at top left. I want to put it in center, bottom center. There we go. Now for the text, I don't want it as 10. I want it as 20. There you go. Okay. And that's fine. And I can change the colors as well. So here, if I click on that's a text color. Can't be confused with the color of the bars, which we're going to get to in a minute. So I can change the text color, but I'm fine with that. It all looks good. Okay. And total apps. So let's go back here and notice legend. We can turn it off too. Okay. We can show lines or not, and you can kind of walk through this. It's not that tough to figure out. Okay. And you kind of just play with this. Here are bars. So we can change the color of our bars. LLM potential, we want to make that green. And I want more colors. I want green. There we go. All right. And then for total apps, I want to do this color. Okay. So I can change all of that right here under bars. Okay. So lots of things. I put data labels on, which shows the total numbers, and I can change the text of those data levels. So I can say here, title, okay, and you can see right here, total apps, potential apps. I can put a different background layout. You can play with all of these. There's no need for me to go through every single one of these with you. Let's talk a little bit about general. So general here is right up here. This is, for example, the title. And if you don't know which one, just click on it. It's pretty easy. So you see it up there? So if I want to change that title, for example, I can just easily go in there and change that. I can also give it a different heading. Okay, so there's some presets in there for me. Okay. Then I can give it a background color if I want to make sure that it pops, stands out. Okay. And then I, of course, would have to change the text color in that case. So that's pretty easy. I want to go in and maybe center this. Awesome, right? It's looking pretty good, huh? Okay. So you can do that. You can do text wrap. You can do subtitles, the whole 9 yards. Okay. You can also go in and, so that's just under title. You could go into any of these effects, shadows. Here, for example, shadow the box right there. Okay. All of that completely possible. To finish this up, we can go down here and we can give this a name. So we're just going to say we're going to give this bar chart. Okay. Perfect. Now we want to publish this. So we can either save it. First of all, let's save it. So save it. We're just going to go up here. We're going to go File, Save As, and we can put this anywhere that we want. I'm going to put it in my documents. Okay. And notice that it gets a PBIX. So I'm going to say here, video. I'm going to hit save. So now that PBIX file, video sample, this can be transferred to anywhere. So if you're working on Power Apps and you want to give it to somebody else or do something else with it, totally possible. Okay. So you can do that. You can also filter the data. We're not going to get into all that today, but let's talk about sharing this. So we can hit publish here and we're going to hit save. And then we're going to go in. Now remember, this is a free version. We can put it to my workspace, for example. We can do all types of other things there. We can also go here where we can share the link. We can also just close this. Okay, let's share. Just show you that real quick. We can share it. It can take forever. There we go. All right, so we can say where we want to share it, more options, things like that. So it's all good. And then we can just go ahead and save this and close it. Okay. So when we come back into Power BI again, here we go. Go back into the Power BI desktop. As though you're just doing it for the first time. There is your report right there that you've saved. If you click on it, it's going to go ahead and open up for you. then you can play with it, do what you want. Now, there are other options. There's different versions of this that you use, and different places you can publish and things of that nature. I'm just going to say workspace, okay, and you'll see here in a minute. And you can just hit got it, or you can open it, and then it's going to go into your workspace and let you view that. Now, there's some licensing restrictions, and to be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure on all of the licensing restrictions for the free version versus the version. You can get the core attributes, but sometimes reports whether these are licensed. For me, quite honestly, so here's locally. But what I do usually is I just use the graphics for a screenshot, or if I'm giving a presentation, I'm going to have this with me at all times, just kind of using it and referencing it and things of that nature. Of course, I will preload it first.